Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and it's my pleasure again to welcome our special guest, Cliff Volke, who is here to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that's the way we often use the new year to get a new, fresh outlook on life and to make resolutions. And he's been a change agent all of his life, not only for himself, but for those around him. He inspires a lot of people to take risk and to decide what you really want out of your life, and then set the goals to do them. So I wanted him to come and talk about that, but also wanted him to talk about a new venture that he set a goal for, and that it's coming to fruition because of his persistence and goal setting. And so this is just a great lesson for you. Get out your pen and paper and take notes, because he's going to give you some valuable information. Cliff has recently decided that he wanted to pursue a career in presenting programs with John Wayne is the main character, and he's got all the clothing and the mannerisms and the voice all down pat. We're going to talk about that a little later in the program. So I want all church groups and school groups and other groups that would like a great family program, a patriotic program, an inspirational program, to be ready to take some notes. But now, Cliff, I want you to start by just talking about how you have made so many changes and met change so positively and changed yourself to meet situations in your life.
Well, it always starts within, believing that you can accomplish something, and it doesn't matter really how old you are or how young you are. Goals can be acquired by just, your previous guest talked about putting them down on paper, which sounds so simplistic. But it doesn't matter whether you're in third grade or you're approaching,
senior citizen status.
To actually visualize those and actually keep them in a place where you can see them every day, to help you remind yourself to be on track. Because we get so often sidetracked. It's just in our daily lives.
And I want to tell you a story about that. When I was a little girl, what got me involved in goal setting was I sat around on the front porch with my family in the 30s, and I would hear my uncles and my dad say things like, well, when I was 16, I thought I was going to do so-and-so, and I'd say, why didn't you? Well, I forgot about it, and all of a sudden the years had gone by, and I forgot, now I'm too old. And so exactly what you just said, you get sidetracked with life if that's not a priority.
My parents too, sometimes the economic conditions can mandate what you wanted to do as opposed to what you had to do. And like my parents were Depression era people, and they had basically worked in sometimes barter just to put food on the table for the family.
From daylight to dark.
From daylight to dark. And I grew up in the 1950s, which really was one of the largest economic booms in this country's history. And so, being a boomer that I am, I was really lucky to be probably of that generation, because it gave me
an appreciation of not having it.
Exactly. And also a certain set of goals and values, because I think one thing I'm trying to do with the ACT is regenerate our American values, the core things of self-reliance, independence, and how those have been somehow sidetracked, especially with our young people today, because everything is so immediately materialistic and so on. And it's curious, because when I do the show, I do get a lot of positive feedback from young people.
And sometimes you think the young people are the most disrespectful or disinterested, and then all of a sudden you look out in your group and you see tears in their eyes. And you know that you were wrong.
And the reinforcement too from a lot of the boomers and the seniors is that we're so glad you're doing this to rekindle that value system because the show is basically an opener. Then I talk about the American history, you know, from the Revolutionary War all the way to the very front, and of course it has the John Wayne slant to it. But I used to, you know, I often had joked when I worked in radio for several years. You know, I still do a lot of character voices, and that was one of the ones they always asked for. You know, it was the John Wayne voice. And
because when you get on all of your gear, you look just like John Wayne.
Yeah, it helps to carry the whole thing, but it was just another vehicle that I was able to even back when I was years ago during radio to make people aware of him and of those core values again, which those core values also I think has a lot to do too with resetting goals. You know, because if you don't have those inside you, you're not going to be able to really project and achieve, I think, what you want to achieve.
And when you, and last week we talked a little bit about, you don't just make a goal, you make goals in all areas of your life, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, relationships, and so on. And the important thing is you should be working on several goals at one time.
Oh, that's a very important thing. It's not just one particular one, but there's a series that you should do. And they should all perhaps, I think, relate to the ultimate goal. But of course you can't achieve the first one without being healthy and striving to be healthy. And that's not only just a mental health, it's a spiritual health. That's another element within the show, because it talks about God and country and how we've gotten away from the whole spiritualness of it, and how we've created more divisions than we have unity within our country, within our neighbors.
But a lot of people don't think, and particularly when they get to be my age, they don't think that they still need to be growing mentally.
Oh, that's...
But that is so important. If your mental health is as important as your physical health.
In some ways, it's almost more, I think.
I do too. I agree.
If you're not mentally putting yourself forward, your body is not going to follow. So, you know, it's just as important as making sure you eat right, take your vitamins. As we grow older, that whole element of exercise.
Exercise your mind. We're going to have to take a break in just a minute. And when we come back, I want Carl to talk about some of the ways his goal setting and his optimism has really played into some of the decisions that he's made in life and the successes he's had in life. We're going to take a break now. We'll be back in just a minute.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.